Welcome to my channel where we make structural engineering and civil engineering works easy. My name is Olodukonyede and I'm your host. On this platform, we'll be talking about structural design and also techniques of executing the design on the construction site. So today we'll be talking about setting out. So when you want to set out, you have your plot, and on your plot, the first thing you need to know is your plot size. If you have the survey plan, which would be very good, you get your survey plan and get your architectural plan and your structural plan. So those are the three plans you need to set out. So the first thing you need to do, normally I would advise that you work hand in hand with a surveyor to align what is on ground to what is in the site. Because I've experienced where on paper the plots may be bigger, but on ground the plots may be smaller, or there may be other features that have crept into that weren't captured on the architectural plan. So I will advise that a surveyor does that. So this is a land, a project I was working on. This is how the is a big land where we are supposed to execute a 3-floor hotel. So the first thing we do after seeing the land, is to get the surveyor or get the plan. So on we get the plan. So that's okay. Like what I said, you look at the survey, the architectural plan. So this is something we want to execute. When you look at the architectural design, this is what, and this is the size of the plot, the building we need to put on that site. So what do you do? Majorly, some people say do it manually, take your offset manually and get this thing done. If you do that, because the land is not uniform, it's not a uniform land. So if you do that, you may have some errors. Let me show you what I'm saying. So if you look carefully, this is the land we want to build on. So mostly the land is not uniform, the direction of the land. So most time if you try to do it manually, we may have an error, because even on the architectural on the architectural site plan, the land is bigger, the plot size was bigger, so we had enough space to play with on the architectural plan. But on getting to site, when we did the survey work, we find out that the plot was smaller than what the architect proposed. So my own advice in setting out is to get a surveyor to actually create or determine your plot size. So with this, you can determine exactly how your building. What the surveyor does is to create the edges of your building in line with the the points on ground, so that your work is perfectly aligned and arranged. So when you do that, you need to now check the footings depending on what type of foundation you will be doing. So what foundation you'll be doing. If we are doing pad foundation according to the design, this is how you need to arrange your footings around the pads, around the footings of the building, to create the footings of the building. So after you've seen, so the drawings or the documents you need to go to site is one, your survey plan. You need the architectural floor plan, the ground floor, and the foundation, structural foundation layout. So those are the three things you need to move on ground. So the materials you need on site, the materials you need to execute that will be, so what you need now would be, you need your pegs, you need hammer, you need profile board, you need lines, you need nail, you need tape, you need shovels, you need sand to create marks. So these are the tools, some of the tools you need. So what we'll add here is you need a surveyor and his equipment to attach to this. So this is what you need when going to site to do set out. Very, very important. What you need is very important. So the next thing you need to do in positioning the building stroke profile, from your survey plan, this would be your property line. This is your property line. Then from your architectural drawing, this is your proposed building line. This is your proposed building line. So you already know that there will be footings extending beyond your property line. There will be footings beyond. So your profile line, which is this, normally what we do is to give from your building line to your profile line, where you put in your profile, those pegs and profile, you give it 2 meters, so that even after you excavate your footing, even if your footing is 2 meters, which is 1 meter in, 1 meter out, it will not touch the profile line. So with this 2 meter profile line, you know your profile will be intact until you are done with your excavation and everything. So there's another thing we still need to look at for is the approval offsets. In Abuja, where I am, and mostly in Nigeria, the offset from your entrance to your building line should be minimum of 6 meters. So you achieve that by not just putting your building anywhere. You must achieve your 6 meter offset. Then on the side, at least 3 meter offset, 3 meter offset, 3 meter offset. So if you can achieve your 3 meter and your 6 meter, then the government body in charge of approving that building will not have any issues with you for marking of demolition or encroachment. So with this, you know your building, you can set your building properly and effectively. So a summary of what is expected of your setting out. You determine the corners of your building, which I told you that mostly the surveyor would do it, especially if your plot size is irregular. We already said the entrance 6 meters, then the other part 3 meters. All those should be achieved. Then your profile, which we said at least 2 meters from your building line. The 2 meters from your building line, these are now the profile, so that at least even after excavation, you will have enough offset. So squaring the areas of the profile using the 3-4-5 method fully installed pegs and profile, which could be achieved by using your survey, because in construction we work with different professionals, so it's not a thing of defeat if you work with a surveyor. So I strongly encourage us to work with surveyor, not to be the hero of it, so that if there's any error, you work as a team to fulfill that. So measure the walls and dimensions and mark with nails on the profile. So this is where you mark the width of your wall and the center point. At least you can have, for a start, if you are doing the structural work, you need the center line, which a nail, you can use a 2-inch nail or 3-inch nail to mark the center line. Then use a marker to put the grade line there. Let's assume we are doing A, we do B, we do C, we do D. We can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each of the center line that you put a nail on, you should put the corresponding grid lines to get to them, the corresponding grid line. So from the center point, you can offset your wall position, or your column position, or your footing position, but the center line on each of these profile with the grid lines on it is very, very important. So place rope on the foundation nails and extend to the opposite side of the profile to define what marks the wall on the ground with sand or shovel. Then digging can commence. So if you've achieved this, then you can start your digging. But what I do most time is, after my surveyor has given us the center point, we can either start by digging the footing. So either which one you think is better for you. You can start by digging the footing or by digging the trench. So whatever one, it's still okay. So whatever one you do, it's still okay. So there's a very important thing I want us to pay attention to. Currently, we are at this level, this footing level, which we've done the excavation, we've dug to the depth and everything from here. But this is our ground level. The ground level, there's something I want us to pay attention to. At this ground level, the design says we should go up 300 mm. So, but pay attention, what determines the depth from here to here. Normally, people just put in this depth at random, 300 above ground level. But I would advise that if you work with the surveyor, there's an important thing the surveyor must first achieve. Very important, and I cannot emphasize that enough. Very important. So let me tell you the first thing to do, even before you start tilling your ground. From this ground level, please pay attention to this. From this finished ground level, before I even dig anything, I get my surveyor to get me the road level closest to my plots. The road level closest to my plot. This is very, very important. So you will transfer this level of this center line of this road closest to my plot, it will have to transfer it to, it will transfer that road level in relation to the road to this ground level, and I will see the height difference of the road from this my plot. So let's assume if the road level is below my ground level, I don't have issue. I can work with 300. But let's assume the road level now is above my ground level by, let's say, 500, or even let's say 700, or depending. I will have to increase my level to at least 300 above the road level. So instead, because if you don't do that, the runoff, the water from your road will run into your plot, and your foundation will be lower than your road, which will always cause areas of your road to be flooded, constantly flooded, which is not really a good thing. So that is very, very important. I can't emphasize that enough, that you should constantly get your DPC level above the road level by at least 300, or at worst 150. But my advice is, whatever you do, make sure the DPC level is above the road level by 300. Very, very important. So I hope this would help. So from the footings, this is what we do. From the footings, we do a frame of the size of the footings, and we place them on we place them after the surveyor has given us our points. We now place them on where we are expected to excavate. That is where we put them on. After putting the footings that they are supposed to excavate, with the surveyor giving us the center point of our building. So from all what I've said, this is how you set out your building. You set out your building by following what the architect has done and what the structural engineer has done, in line with the survey plan. And so I think we will stop here. And if you have any question, please send us, and we'll be glad to respond to you. Whatever it is, please send us, and we'll be glad to respond to you. So, but if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll be glad to send more videos to you. Thanks, and remain blessed.